Welcome to the Generation Why Not podcast with Ruth Klein, a 6-time best-selling author, creative brand strategist, and book coach for small businesses, entrepreneurs, authors, mompreneurs, and professionals today. She is the president of the award-winning firm Expert Celebrity Branding, and the Wall Street Journal calls her the marketing maven. This podcast will be interviewing this generation, those who are doing things differently because of their perceptual shift of what success looks like, and who are driven by attitude, not age. They know anything is possible, and you'll hear how this generation feels the fear and keeps going anyway to achieve their goals and dreams, whether they be in business, sports, the arts, or lifestyle.
Welcome to Generation Why Not. I'm your host, Ruth Klein. Generation Why Not is touched by creativity and driven by a mindset that is on focus and a mission. And this generation is innovative and inclusive. And this is the Generation Why Not, that will drive our economy to new heights of invention and solve some of the biggest problems in business and in social change worldwide. And today, I have a beautiful, beautiful, heart-centered entrepreneur and dear friend, and I'm proud to call her my dear friend, that basically is part of Generation Why Not. Not only basically, but definitely. Because Generation Why Not focuses on attitude and not age, and what can be done, and being able to see the world through a new lens. It's kind of a perceptual disruptor, actually, this lens, in order to see the world and our many possibilities in all fields. Without much delay, I would love to introduce you to Hang Boge. She is a life coach and healer for wholehearted warriors. And we're going to find out how she is able to get these wholehearted warriors to achieve next level performance in harmony without sacrificing themselves or their integrity, and living successfully and leading with their heart. Please help me welcome Hang Boge. Hi, Hang.
Aloha, Ruth. It's so nice to be here. I'm so excited to be here and I miss you.
Well, same here. And I just love that, how you always end a conversation and your message on the phone, aloha. I love that. Being in Hawaii, you are a true Hawaiian, my dear. A true Hawaiian.
I love the introductions, mostly about the Generation Why Not and what you're about and how that's going to be a big change in the world. So thank you for including me on that special mission of yours. I love your book on Generation Why Not.
Thank you. And thank you so much for that beautiful review on Amazon. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you know me, right? I only speak the truth from my heart. Every word is truth. Yeah.
Yeah. You walk your walk and you talk your talk for sure. Talk to us a little bit about what a wholehearted warrior is, and how did you become an expert at what you're doing as a life coach and healer for wholehearted warriors?
It actually took me many years to arrive to that place. I didn't realize I was a wholehearted warrior myself in that context. Wholehearted in this case means a complete sincerity and commitment. You know, warrior is those who know how to fight, right? An experienced fighter. For my background, I used to be an elite athlete. I was undefeated for many years. I've done everything wholeheartedly. I fought. I know how to fight. I know how to will myself. I know how to shut off pain. And it's come with a cost for later on. And part of my journey, because of that, to be that warrior, I had to, quote unquote, warrior, to be that champion for myself, my family, and my country. I had to shut off my feeling, my pain, and who I was. So my journey has been to discover and reconnect back to myself and how to play the game a little bit differently.
I love that. Tell us a little bit about, you had said that you were an athlete. And I know that you are a 5 times undefeated acrobat champion. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where that all started? Because I think the country that you grew up in is very powerful, too, to know.
I grew up in Vietnam. It's a communist regime. And my sister just thought that I was too flexible, I was too strange, so put me in this recreational classes. And then my parents trying to convince my coach because he saw the glory in become a competitive athlete. So they try to get me to compete. And my coach wouldn't accept me because physically I was too fragile. I was too sensitive, and I was rejected. Thanks to my parents' persistence and resilience, they literally bribed the coaches to give me even just a chance to trial. I was 5.5. I was just a little kid and just realized how good everybody is, and my pride took in, my ego took in. And that's the moment that I started to closely close up my sensitivity. And I said, you know what? I am going to be great. And within 6 months, because our family history, there's my parents used to be the most wealthy, and then they lost everything overnight because of the communist regime. So I grew up in a very poor environment. So that was the only thing that I had. I'm like, I cannot be anything worse than our family circumstance. So I have to be good. I have to be great. And people cannot look down on me. So that's the moment my warrior self took in. And I give everything I got. And within 6 months, I surprised everybody by winning first place. After that, I got the highest level in the sport, and then remained to be a champion for 5 years, which surprised everybody. But in the context of sensitivity, I played the game, not afraid of losing. I didn't play the game to win. And that's really cost me later on. And in 1993, we came to the U.S. I was hoping to do the 96 Olympics. I got a back injury out of nowhere. It's almost like a phantom back injury. And Western medicine couldn't figure it out. And the only choice I had was to stop. And that's when I had the opportunity, which at that time I didn't consider as opportunity, that I went to a really, really dark place. Because, from being a champion for many years, have all the respect in Vietnam and come here to the U.S., not to have the opposite of that, to be bullied in school. And that's a whole other side thing. It put me in a really dark place that on the surface, because of my ego, I know how to put up a show. So I know how to hold myself together. But deep down inside, I was falling apart. I was dying. Nobody knew it. And that's when I went on a quest of trying to help myself, trying to search for answer. Because when you're in a dark place that you even question your existence on this earth, that's a pretty dark place for a 13 years old. And nobody knew about it. I didn't know about depression. I didn't know about anxiety. I didn't know about any of those things. And I didn't realize that was the cause effect of being a wholehearted warrior, but did thing in the way that it wasn't necessarily the healthy way. So my journey has been discovering that for myself. Along the way, I found many different bit and piece of puzzle, when you're trying to solve a problem. And then in the early 2000s, I have so many physical pain and emotional pain that I had no idea, I could not pinpoint. And I finally have an epiphany, a big piece of puzzle that's life-changing for me. And that discovery for me was more than 90% of my problem was due to unresolved emotional issues.
That's really amazing. It sounds like you kept all your emotions in and all your pain in. And then finally something had to, no pun intended, break.
Yes.
And it was, for you, maybe that was your Achilles heel, and also being an acrobat, it really hit home because an acrobat's you have to be so limber with your back. That's so interesting. And were you en route to the Olympics, or was that just a dream, or were they talking about that for you?
Well, I was a top athlete in Vietnam. I was being recruited. I didn't know by Russia, by so many different countries that my parents didn't let us know about because of the communist country. So we could not get out of the country and compete. The hope was that I would be en route to come here and train because in Vietnam, when you train, you get paid. and everything is covered. But in the U.S., it's a different system. So it's like a different shock system. I was hoping to come here. The government going to take me in. I was in the level of skill of some of in the 96 Olympian in Atlanta. So I was en route to go there. And then at the beginning of that journey, then my back just gave out. It was fascinating. I mean, this whole journey.
In a beautiful way. And yet that's, you've seen how many ways that it's been so helpful, but that had to have been beyond devastating as well as beyond painful.
Oh, absolutely, Ruth. I didn't want to live. Nobody knew it, but I was, and I didn't, I'm like, why? What is my purpose? I was so lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. And I'm like, what's the point of living? I mean, those are narratives. I mean, and at that time, but then I'm like, no, I got to fight. I got to figure it out because, we have so many different parts of ourselves, right? And fortunate for me that I would never let myself go there. And I use pain as a gift so I can move through it because we all hit our dark moments. And that leads to many, I experienced so many physical pain, not only the back pain, and then so many emotional pain, like anxiety, depression. I mean, you name it, all the emotional things come with that. I experienced all of it. That's why it was puzzling for me. I'm like, how is it happening? It's forced me. It's redirect my course to look for the answer. And it has been a long journey.
It's been a long journey. I mean, I've known you for about 8 years. And I know it started before that. So, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it took its toll in 13 years or for 16 years. And probably it's taken that long, if not more, just to heal from all of that emotion and pain and confusion of what was going on. And then coming into a new country as well. I mean, you had a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, and we can call it trauma, emotional trauma. It's all relative, right? You don't have to be raped or to be killed to get traumatized.
Right.
And I think it's good. It's really important for the audience to understand that because like a lot of my clients too, and it's so interesting. I attract a lot of people like me in my world, right? It's just so funny. Like these are wholehearted warriors. Warriors are tough, and you are one yourself. You are one of the biggest heart person that I know, and you are also one of the biggest, like the strong fighter that I know because you know how to get things done. And I've learned so much from you, and I respect you for that. And as you know, being a wholehearted warrior, you can take pain, physical pain. Or at least I know that by myself. And a lot of people that I know, like a lot of time it will be easier to feel the physical pain than the emotional pain.
Yeah.
Right?
They often say that a physical cut eventually goes away. An emotional cut, if you will, kids stay for a long time. It's really what happened to you.
Yes, and especially the wholehearted. Why is it wholehearted? Wholehearted are people who do it with complete sincerity and commitment. You don't hold anything back because you live, you love, and you give so fully. And in the process, you also feel and hurt very deeply. Unfortunately, that the pain that I didn't know how and I could not sit with. Ultimately, it caused a long, perpetual pain because of that.
What is so great about that, though, is that, I know you often say you followed the breadcrumbs without knowing it would lead you to where you are now. So how do you take all of that insight and wisdom and knowledge and your toolkit, and how are you helping your clients now? Share with us a little bit about that.
Like you said, I follow the breadcrumb. I never imagined that I am doing what I do right now, Ruth. I was so connected. I was so connected to my ego. I want to be an Olympian, or I want to own a gym that produces Olympian, have so much fame and money also, all those things. I had a gym at one point. I still own a gymnastic gym at one point, but it wasn't it. And selfishly, I was a self-centered person. I still am sometimes. Selfishly, I just wanted to help myself because I could not tolerate the mediocrity or the pain. I didn't like pain, and I still don't like pain. I was looking for ways to help me get rid of pain, and along the way, surprisingly, I noticed I have a knack of helping others that I had no idea because of my heart. The biggest pain that I experienced myself was the disconnection to myself, the disconnection to my own heart. In this journey of healing myself, my heart started opening and I started to connect with people at my heart. And there is so much power from that big heart that I have no idea that I have, and so much healing power from that. And so I simply come from the place of my heart to someone's heart and sympathize with their pain and did whatever that I knew, whatever that I could to help that person move through their pain gracefully. And in result, their life been transformed. They experience the next level of performance in a different way. So it's not about, okay, just follow your heart, just being a hippie and just doing your feeling and don't achieve anything. No, you don't have to be, or just be an overachiever, right? And shut off everything. The gift that I discover is that, you can connect to your heart and then let your heart lead. And then your mind can implement and execute at the inspire level. And I believe in your book, you talk a lot about inspire action, right?
Right.
And to come from a place of inspire, and that where you can experience the next level of performance, because I think that's what fulfillment is, and stay there and do it in harmony with yourself, in harmony with your heart. And there's such a beautiful gift in that. And it took me, oh my God, how many years we're talking about to come to that discovery, to really land for me. And in the process, I was just sharing people what I know. And I'm still learning. So I can only imagine the kind of change that I am continuing to make as I'm learning and discovering more about myself, because I'm still learning about myself. I'm still surprised. I'm like, oh my God, who is this person that's teaching about love and talking about love? Because I wasn't like that at all.
Right. It sounds like you were completely closed off to any feelings.
Yes, I shut off my feeling. I shut off who I was. I shut off my heart. And, it's so interesting. I visited California, a few months ago before the whole COVID hit. And one of my teammates, he was a world-class athlete. And he said, Hang, I never seen you cry the whole time that we were teammates, even during the worst injury.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm the kind of person now that I can feel everything around me. I can feel what the other person across from me before they feel it. I'm very in tune, and my heart is now so open, but that's who I am and who my nature is. So I shut off my nature to survive or to fit in. And, and I accomplished on the resume. It looks really good.
It looks really good because that basically said your ego. That basically said your ego. I love it. What is one thing, at the end of the day, what is one thing that you would like to have our listeners remember?
This is an assumption that all your listeners are like you, to be gravitate to you. They are also wholehearted warriors, because you are one of the most wholehearted warriors that I know. And, for all the wholehearted warriors out there, I know how much you know how to push, how to force, and how to will things to achieve success, right? We all know how to do that. If you're like me, you would prefer to have physical pain than to facing or sitting with any emotional heart pain, because it's very deep when you're wholehearted. So if there's one thing that I think would be helpful to be life-changing, is that my invitation for you is to lean in your emotional pain as you have been wholehearted with your physical pain. It feels scary and it feels vulnerable to do that. I've been there, and I help many people who've been there, but just remember this. The pain is only temporary. It's going to pass. By dealing with that pain, you will be free from all the wall. Right? For me, it was the wall that I create to protect myself, the ego or the different persona that we create to protect ourselves. But that wall also caused a disconnection with your authentic self. When you can authentically be yourself, that's when the lasting joy fulfillment starts. And I would invite you to come on that journey, because it is possible. I didn't know that it was possible for me. And now I am living it, and I'm helping a lot of people living it.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Hang, you're definitely walk your walk and talk your talk. And I know that you have something special for our listeners as well. Can you just tell us real briefly what that is?
Oh, sure. I created this course inspired by many problems that I see my client go through. Is that a lot of times you experience certain challenge, but the challenge itself is not the problem. And as a wholehearted warrior, you judging yourself and you beat yourself up. So I create a course of how to get yourself unstuck from that. So from this course, there's 3 things that you will get is to understand the problem behind the problem. I'm also sharing a modality of how you can clear it in the most effective and streamlined manner, and how to get rid of it for good on your own. And I'm on this training. I was working with high performing doctor, health coach, so you get to see firsthand how it's being done. This course is sold on my website for $111, but for your viewers, I would love to give it away because they are your audience, and you know how much I love you.
Awesome.
And I want to share with your audience.
So the code then is Why Not 2020, and your website is hangboge.com, and we'll have all of that in our description and of our show today. Wow.
Yeah, please enjoy.
Thank you so much, Hang. And I've been lucky enough to be a client of yours, and you have helped me through some places where I definitely got emotionally stuck. And what a difference it made. So thank you again for being in my life and having you on rotary dial, digital dial, whatever dial. So it works out very well.
Thank you for having me here as another breadcrumb that I'm following.
Breadcrumbs are good, especially when you're hungry. Yes. Thanks again. With Hang, I loved what she had to say, that wisdom comes from pain. For Hang, it was both physical and emotional. And what she mentioned was so interesting, and that is how she was so completely disengaged from her heart, from really who she was. She was so focused on the external circumstances, and the ego. The ego gets a bad rap. The ego is good, except when it limits us, except when it prevents us from accepting love and being loving. That's what happened with Hang. She could only see one side. And then, as true to call, the universe said, enough emotional pain, enough physical pain. We're going to basically get your attention. And so for Hang, it was pretty severe pain, and with her back, which at that point she knew that Olympic dream was not going to happen. I can't even imagine how disappointed after working at that level of high performance. And her comment about how to move through her pain gracefully to get on the other side, that would be amazing. I mean, that's just amazing. And inspired action and experience the next level of performance. And in that space, you'll be able to really attract, Hang said, the harmony that will go with your heart. It's our harmony between what's happening in the world and our heart. And when you're authentic, she said, you're truly fulfilled. I love that. I absolutely love that. So thank you for being part of Generation Why Not, and I look forward until next time.
Thank you for joining Generation Why Not. We look forward to receiving any questions you may have, as Ruth will be answering them on this podcast. Follow Ruth.Klein on Instagram or email rklein@ruthklein.com. Until next time, a short reminder that success is driven by attitude, not age.